to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thursday, January 29th. Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Mike Wright is here. Jason Moore is here.
The Deucer's up to some funny business? Or?
Yeah, the Deucers are up to something.
We were just Matt asked me to turn his headphones down. That was it. We were just.
Oh, is that all it was?
Yeah.
I see. I never know what to expect from you guys. It's
never know when a gag or a goof is just on the way.
You want to know what happened? Is like I think yesterday in the office, as we were sitting there, and Jason was signing cards for the rest of his natural life.
My hand is so sore.
Sold out, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the support. That was very fast, and excited to get them in your hands, out of Jason's hands. But Jason walked over
next year,
and he said something to Al. Like real quiet, and maybe it was related to Wheel of Shame. Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
See, I didn't know if it was some plot. At any moment, somebody could elect themselves into the Ballers Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever it is.
There is a very thorough process.
It just doesn't seem like.
I just have completed it twice.
Right. No, Mike has completed the thorough process 2 times. Welcome into the show. Guess nothing weird's going on. January 29th, we have the truth about the wide receiver position on today's show. We got more coaching news to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
And we'll sneak into an abridged version of Fantasy Faceoff, share some early thoughts on the Super Bowl. There's a lot going on. If you don't remember, Super Bowl Sunday is the day in which the UDK pre-orders go live. And there will be stuff to access immediately in the Dynasty Pass. The Ultimate Draft Kit pre-order day, always Super Bowl Sunday.
I'm pretty sure they remember that. I mean, if you don't remember, there's also football on that day.
Yeah.
But Super Bowl Sunday is really for the UDK pre-orders, the Dynasty Pass first drop, all of that. But also,
they play a game.
The Seahawks will be playing against the Patriots later that day.
Yeah, they just picked 2 random teams. From the preseason time, and it was these 2 teams, and then they ended up in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. So the scouting has begun for the Dynasty Pass, and not just for that, but to know the rookies and all these things. Guys, I mean,
you already got some favorites?
I've already got. I got a guy who I think I'm like, oh,
you already got a nasty
This is
boy?
a 3rd rounder, and I'm gonna be all about it.
The 3rd round's not too far back.
Or I'm sorry, no, day 3.
Oh,
day 3,
big difference.
No, 3rd rounder is incredible. I love a 3rd round running back.
That's not nasty enough.
No, this is
running back.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm pretty excited. I don't want to get ahead of it because I don't want to tamper any opinions that you have not formed on these players.
Sure. Yeah. No. We're forming them, but I can't wait to find out who Mike will select to be. Probably on a Hall of Fame trajectory at this point.
Yeah. If not for all of his injuries. Because that's his type.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
they burn hot.
They burn
man.
too hot. Too hot for them muscles.
And ligaments and meat, as Jason would say.
Yes.
10 days until the Super Bowl and the UDK pre-orders. A reminder, you can watch the show, youtube.com/The Fantasy Footballers. Click the bell. You'll be alerted to all of our newest episodes. We appreciate it. All your comments, we do read through them. Some are just plain crazy. Just some crazy stuff, y'all say. But most of them are pretty cool. Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. Apple as well. And the community's over at jointhefoot.com. We'll kick it off with some news.
News and notes from around the league.
Where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start with
You can start with Arthur.
We'll start with the catch up.
Older.
Yeah, we should have brought it up on Tuesday. But, I think it was just relief. We could finally put it out of our heads. Arthur Smith is...
It's not really...
He's going to college.
It's not fully NFL news. It's NFL adjacent.
So you're
But he's
kind
gone.
of
He's gone, everyone!
Arthur Smith can no longer hurt your primary running back and your primary wide receiver.
Did you hear the news next to it, though?
What?
They gave Jonnu Smith another year of eligibility.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to Ohio
He's
State.
going back.
Actually, on the Dynasty podcast today, Betts brought up this great point because we're talking about rookies. We're looking at an overview of the rookies that are coming in this year. We realize, wide receiver Ohio State, like Jeremiah Smith is the next JSN. He's the guy
Right.
that years ahead, while all these great wide receivers are coming out, Jeremiah Smith is like, wait until he hits the NFL. He's actually the best one amongst them. But that's now the number one wide receiver for Arthur Smith.
Oh.
So
He might rethink
when he
that
has
transfer portal.
a down season at Ohio State this year, just know
You have
it's
somebody to
Arthur's
blame?
fault and buy the dip.
Okay, so someone to blame when we don't have another great player.
Mm-hmm.
So Arthur Smith leaving the NFL, Steelers, former offensive coordinator, Falcons, head
See
coach.
you later.
Heading to Ohio State. So we also got news. More teams found their head coach. The Bills decided to go with Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator. He will call plays for the Bills. He had been calling plays for the Bills.
What a change they needed. I mean, this one it doesn't make sense to me. I think we were kind of debating it in the office, and you had a good counterpoint, but my thought process is this is a team with a Superman quarterback, right? Josh Allen has single-handedly made this team good every year, and while obviously the coaching staff plays along, they've hit a wall that they can't get over. That's why they fired Sean McDermott. But then they just were like, we need change, but let's keep it exactly the same. Let's keep our offensive guy that we had. Like, this was an opportunity, in my opinion, to go out and get, like, this was one of the most desirable jobs. You could go and get someone that could take Josh Allen and not have Josh Allen carry the offensive mind, but have an offensive mind come in here and get the most out of Josh Allen. So I don't know. You can make the argument that Andy made, which is the problem had been their defense.
Yeah, their offense was kind of cruising. This is good for James Cook from a schematic standpoint. It's really good for James Cook. It's not as good for Al. It's good for Allen from consistency, but not necessarily like if you want to see him go back to the Stephon Diggs days. And I mean, they were the number one running team. They had the league's leading rusher in James Cook. They'll probably do a lot of the same things, but they grew tired of the kind of, clearly McDermott had a problem with Bean about personnel. McDermott's a defensive-minded head coach who really wasn't given a full deck of cards to go out and, play the best defensive football he could play. He complained about it. It is a little weird. It feels a little bit more personal than it feels like strategic, I think, in some regards.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, I do feel like there were probably outcomes that would have been a little more unpredictable for us in fantasy than Joe Brady staying.
Certainly, from a fantasy football standpoint, now it's predictable. We know that they're going to run the same offense and all of that. So we don't have to worry about wholesale change here. So from that standpoint, it's good. But we would have been bullish on Josh Allen no matter who they brought in.
Yeah, part of it was Brady leaving too. There was the potential for Brady as a head coaching candidate and candidate for other jobs.
I don't ever trust good OCs with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I just don't trust them.
That brings me to my point. So, friend of the show, Pat Thorman, tweeted this out. He was highlighting that since Joe Brady has started coaching on the offensive side, his teams have ranked in points. Okay, ready? 4th, 3rd, 1st.
Awesome.
24th, 29th.
Not good.
2nd, 4th, 3rd, and 5th.
Awesome.
Now, in that timeline, I'm going to see if you could spot where things may have gone right. So his quarterbacks in that time, Drew Brees,
Hall of Famer.
Joe Burrow at LSU with Jamar and Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, and then there's a year with Teddy Bridgewater and the year with Sam Darnold in there.
Yeah,
and it's like, what do you
look?
I don't know what you do with that information because we know this. Like head coaches who have, I mean, we can walk into another piece of news here as the greatest head coach of all time.
Oh my goodness,
is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. For whatever reason, but anyway,
vindictive nature.
Talking Bill Belichick, and some things have been brought up, but like people are like, one of the arguments is well, Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. because Tom Brady left and he won a Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, without Tom Brady, not a good head coach for the New England Patriots.
Or before Brady. He was okay in Cleveland.
But it's so the point is, like, what do you do with guys like Joe Brady where you have elite offensive numbers when you have an elite quarterback?
But also you have elite offensive numbers when you have an elite quarterback, which he has. So it's just hard to know what's corollary. There's so many moving pieces, and
that's what I mean. Like, how much credit should Joe Brady get?
The same amount that every single coach always gets when your team wins. It's just what it is. It's a mask for all of it.
This is where, like, a Mike McDaniel would have made me excited. Like, he got a lot out of
first.
He got a lot out of Tua.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I love guys that can schematically overcome poor quarterback play. Or average quarterback play and get the most out of them. And I just wanted to see that with Josh Allen. That would have been cool.
Todd Monken is the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Ooh. This was the Ravens offensive coordinator, and it also is a bummer in the sense that we thought maybe this job would go to somebody else and Todd Monken would join Harbaugh in New York.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made me feel pretty excited about Dart and Scatterboo and Neighbors. Not that they can't.
Yeah, I'll still be excited.
Replace it.
We have the list of coaches, which we will have
Greg Roman coming there.
We will have a full list or a full episode where we're going to talk about head coaches and the impact that they have. But we have a list of over the last 25 years. We have 7 first-time head coaches who were 55 or older when they got their first gig. It's not good. I mean, shocking stuff. It's not shocking to me. I think
Arians had to have been one of them. There's no way Bruce Arians wasn't one of them.
Like the oldest first-time head coach.
So, like for the most part, it is just not good of these guys who've never been able to work their way up to the top of the ladder at that age. To me, is like, no. I'm cool with Todd Monken calling an offense. I don't know about him being a head coach.
Well,
I'm fine with it.
It's not going to work. It's just like whoever the Cardinals sign, it's not going to work. It doesn't work at those franchises.
I would love to see. This has 7 first-time head coaches over the last 25 years who are 55 or older. How about you give me the 7 last first-time head coaches of the Cleveland Browns and their average wins on a yearly basis?
There's also that.
Look, you didn't have an offense. You do have a defense.
Well, I mean, Stefanski had some success there.
Did you see the reports? So the Browns have a great defense, and they've got Jim Schwartz under contract as their defensive coordinator. And apparently, we kept hearing all these coaches are pulling out of the Browns head coaching search because the Browns were adamant that Jim Schwartz is your DC. And then
yes,
and so people were like, I don't want Jim Schwartz.
I want to bring my own person in there.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, we need Jim Schwartz here.
But Monken is like, okay. And then as soon as they hire him, Schwartz is like, I am pissed that I'm not the head coach. I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's the most
Browns
hire ever.
Oh, man.
Cardinals still looking. They're interviewing Clint Kubiak for a second time. They've interviewed Mike LaFleur 2 times, and we'll see.
Kubiak, any LaFleur.
Cardinals are the last team without a head coach.
That's all I want.
No, Raiders.
Yeah,
nice. 2 left.
But I actually have some hope as an Arizona fan that they're going to get either Kubiak or LaFleur.
I do too. I think LaFleur makes a lot of sense.
It feels like the winds are blowing.
It does feel like the winds are blowing their way. I agree. I think he is.
Give me one.
Yeah, I don't care. I just want one of those last names.
LaFleur is he could be good, but it's all McVay, right? That caused the offense there in Los Angeles, whereas Kubiak is the manufacturer of everything good that's happened in Seattle. Because their head coach is a defensive-minded guy.
LaFleur did call the offense in his previous spot and then came to work under McVay, which is not too bad a path. I'm happy with either of them. Again, like I just said, sometimes when franchises are kind of rotten from the top, it doesn't usually matter. You need to really strike gold for that to matter. And that's what I'm saying about Monken and the Browns. It's like, okay, whatever. They're still going to be the Browns. They're still going to be mismanaged and misorganized. And then what's going on with the Jets is hysterical to me. It is so outrageously funny. It is so – I mean, the Browns are going to Brown and the Jets are going to Jet because Aaron Glenn has fired everyone. everyone. I mean,
He's standing there like Will Smith
your
in the middle of the
your
building.
linebacker coach gone. Your wide receiver assistant
He's getting
passing
to the bottom of
coordinator.
it, man.
Your OC. Your DC. Your man. What terrible hires!
Everyone here
It's like
stinks
getting
with
rid
me.
of bed bugs. You gotta
Didn't you
gas
just
the whole
hire
place.
all these people? And now guess who's going to hire the next set? Aaron Glenn.
But it's going to get it right this time.
Oh, it's going to be so much harder this time. Who would want that job? I know
Gruden doesn't. They tried to go to Gruden.
You're literally going into a job where you guarantee you're fired next year. Right?
I feel like you're going into a job where you guarantee that you have a shot to being an interim head coach.
That's
That's
fair.
the sell.
That would be for me.
But is that the sell from Aaron Glenn? It's like, guys, I'm not going to make it through next year. You got a chance.
No, you're right in the fact that the odds are with the fact that staff would all be gone with Aaron Glenn.
Yeah. And so you don't get the pick
why
of the
leave
litter.
your current
It's going to
job?
be because it's
Exactly.
going to be all people that move from passing game coordinator to OC
Uh-huh.
and defensive backs coach to DC. That's what he's got to find. The Titans. This is kind of interesting. They're hiring Brian Daboll
Okay.
to be their offensive coordinator. I think this is still contingent on Daboll not getting a head coaching job, which could come in Las Vegas.
Been a lot of contingents.
I mean,
out
it's the
there.
smartest way to do it ever. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's how you lock a Mike McDaniel in there. And, I mean, let these guys, rather than wait to see what's going to happen, negotiate a set deal for them and then let them go out and see if they get the head coaching job.
But what do you do if they get the head coaching job?
Well, then you got to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're going to be now.
Well, it's double
now you're-
contingent. It's an if this, then that. It's
you
if
have a full
McDaniel
list.
gets a head coaching job, you're my OC.
I'm fourth on the list,
Yeah.
guys.
It's like
I just need these three guys to get a head coach
but
job.
Cam Ward. I mean, Cam Ward.
It's nice.
It looked better at the end of the year.
yes.
Brian Daboll is an offensive mind that, I have some confidence that, what he did for Jackson Dart to begin his career was positive. The right direction, I think.
Sala and Daboll's a good 1-2 punch, I think.
Yeah. And the Jets officially, like you said, they fired their OC to complete the set of firings. The Broncos fired their OC. Of course they did because, Sean Payton. You should have helped me in the snow with that backup.
Should have called the better play on 4th and 1.
To be fair, all season we were saying the issue with the Broncos was their offense. Their defense was great.
And Sean Payton's calling the plays. So you go blame the other guy.
Well, he's
So
not going to
Sean-
blame himself.
You should have told
It's
me
so Sean Payton,
to call
man.
a better play.
It's so Sean Payton. And then Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Unbelievable. And the oh man, this is so wild that he's not a first
Don't
ballot
worry,
Hall of
guys.
Famer.
Polian is getting
Yeah,
in.
Bill-
No, I mean they
Why?
debated all the rumors.
Why?
They were?
Have you seen?
What are we doing here?
So,
I mean, you don't think Spygate should have an impact?
No, it already did.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, it had an impact on his career.
yeah, but
I'm just playing devil's
Yeah,
advocate
sure.
here because this is like steroid era in baseball to a degree, where like, yeah, some of these guys got in, but they don't get to be first ballot Hall of Famers when you cheat.
there was an article. So, I think it was the famous Miami Dolphins
Oh
beat
man, they're
writer.
gonna all think I'm like super anti-patriots by being devil's advocate. I'm
No,
realizing what's coming in the comments, but I'm just asking the question because obviously 10 people decided that was the case.
Yeah, so it's so funny if you haven't been like plugged in here and reading the articles and seeing all the tweets from player Jimmy Johnson. That dude's pissed. He is dropping expletives online. So the presentation was made for Bill Belichick, and in that room, it is rumored that Bill Polian basically, said that this was an issue, and for Spygate, you shouldn't be able to get it. And then Bill Polian has come out and said he didn't.
Unequivocally, that is not what
Yeah,
happened. And he said he voted for Bill Belichick.
No,
Well,
he
no.
said that, and then he said
I
later,
can't
I can't
remember.
remember if I did or did not. Other people who were in that room
My
are
guy.
very confidently saying this dude was the
My
reason.
guy. If you can't remember,
I was shocked to learn Bill didn't get in. Polian said he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he'll be there, just not first ballot. That's the
if
quote
you
was.
cannot remember if you voted for Bill Belichick to be in the Hall of Fame or not, you should not be voting. This isn't the excuse you think it is. Like, done. You don't get to vote anymore.
If you can't remember who you voted
yeah,
for?
like you what? Are
well,
you
he
serious?
remembers. He remembers, but it's bad press right now to say that. But even after Spygate, if you just look at after
Remember
that,
when the Colts were pumping in noise into their stadium?
yeah, well,
While Bill Polian was working there?
so many
Is that not
coaches,
cheating?
Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher, they've come out and said like Spygate. Everybody was trying to do what they did. Everyone was trying to steal signs. Like they got caught and they got punished. But after Spygate, he won 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
Won like more games than John Madden. It was like his resume, if you go only after Spygate, was better than most coaches all
It's
time.
Insane.
Yeah.
Also, I will say,
so
Jason,
petty.
though, with this, I do have more doubts that Mike Evans will get in on his first ballot.
Yeah, I wanted to know how you felt about first
If the
ballot Mike
most,
Evans.
if the coach with the most Super Bowls of all time can't get in the first time, I don't know if Mike Evans could do it.
It'll depend if he's dating a 20-year-old
The
at the
cool
time.
part, I wondered if that. I genuinely was like, are people just like upset because it's like
Yeah,
you know
the
vibes?
the reputation is
Yeah, there were
not
10,
what it once was.
There were 10 guys in that room that tried to send the same DMs, and only Bill got the reply.
You know what's funny is so
Good
I've seen a bunch of
grief.
clips from his coaching since this news has come out, and the famous play on the Super Bowl where they
Malcolm Butler.
Yes, the interception against the Seahawks when they should have given him to Marshawn Lynch. And I saw a clip I had never seen before of because it's pretty crazy that he didn't call a timeout there. In that situation on the goal line, the Patriots were down. They needed to get the ball back and score, and the clock was about to run out.
2 timeouts left.
Pete Carroll
And-
really bailed him out.
And he didn't call the timeout. But there is a clip, if you have not seen it, where all the coaches, they all are talking about this, and they clip up all the moments, all the players, all the coaching staff. You want to talk about unfathomable brilliance in coaching. And his choice to not call that.
Where they like the clips are them saying call timeout,
Yes.
call timeout.
People are saying, do you want a timeout? And he's so intently watching, and he's seeing that the Seahawks are having struggle, and they're kind of unsure what they're doing right now and their personnel. And then all the coaching, I'll find it, I'll share it online. It was like, this isn't just Tom Brady. That dude was brilliant. And then, he'll be a second ballot Hall of Famer.
All right, we'll take a break and come back with the truth of the wide receiver position.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is my last thing is why even have a first ballot then? Why? Don't do it.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're doing it or not doing it, right?
It's just if he can't get in on the first one, then just don't even talk about it. Just be like, hey, you're eligible. You were a finalist. We'll see you next year.
We are into the truth of the top 10 wide receivers. We've done this with the quarterback position so far, the running back position. Little overview at the top. Wide receiver scoring was down across the board in 2025. Second fewest total receptions and receiving yards by wide receivers over the last decade. I mean, we talked about the power of the running back this year, right? So I'll be curious how in draft season, if you have some, what the swing is. Because I think it's very justifiable to go running back to start your draft. But I think this year in particular, I think Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua belong in the one-on-one conversation. Personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas I don't know if we've had multiples in that conversation at wide receiver lately, but those two guys to me, I'm not going to argue with anybody, even if they want to take them over Bijan, right? Like if you didn't feel, you do have a new head coach, offensive coordinator in Atlanta.
No JSN in there?
I had Jason too. Sure.
Yeah, Jason and Puka
Yeah.
were really well matched.
No, it's very fair. I think all those guys, obviously, if Stafford doesn't come back or something.
Zay Flowers?
You can erase. No Zay Flowers.
Like, why you got to do?
We
Zay
got
Flowers had a good year.
Yeah, okay.
You want to guess how many receiving touchdowns we had this year versus last year in terms of the differential?
Oh, wow. I do not
Do you know this number?
I have no idea.
I know it was down.
It is down. 67 fewer touchdowns.
Wow.
By wide receivers in 2025. So, for example, we had 10 wide receivers with 8 or more touchdowns this year. We had 17 last year with 8 or more touchdowns. This year's leader was Davante Adams. He only had 4 other double digits. That's Amon-Ra, Higgins, Puka, and JSN. And then good old Olave, Pickens, Juwan Jennings, Jamar Chase, and Quentin Johnston are the others with 8 or more.
What was that last one?
Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston.
Just making sure people are hearing that name.
I didn't hear Zay Flowers, though.
Well, we'll talk about him on today's episode.
Oh, my gosh.
On today's top 10
Zay
episode.
Flowers is a champ. A league of record champ.
A league of record. I was like, he didn't make the playoffs.
No.
But yes.
He was more. Was he your Melvin Gordon in the Chiefs? Is that who he was?
Well, how so?
I just
Not
remember,
really
remember when
impacting-
Melvin Gordon was waving
Oh.
his Chiefs ring around? Like Melvin Gordon's a Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs.
Yes, I understand that.
And you probably didn't remember that he was ever
Yeah.
on the Chiefs.
All right, number 1 overall, Puka Nacua, 24 years old, number 1 at the wide receiver position. Number 1, inconsistency. We take a look at the consistency of every player. That's what the truth is built on. It's not just where they finished in fantasy. It's how consistent were they week to week for your team. We look at their entire game log. We break it down into great games of 20 or more points for wide receivers, good games of 12.5 or more, and bust games fewer than 7 points. Puka, we know the story, but the numbers tell you 38% great, 81% good, 6% bust games for Puka Nacua. That number's down from 18% last year. Machine-like.
He is. You look at his career and has one of the best rookie seasons literally all time, and was so good, top 10 in our consistency rank metric. And then the following season, even though he missed some games, he was so much better than he was that rookie season, getting up to 73% of his games being good. And then this last year, even better. I mean, you can't ask for much more. He had one bust game on the entire season. He doesn't even score a ton of touchdowns. So it's possible we have not seen the best Puka. Like, if they start involving him around, I mean, if Puka comes out one year and scores 12 touchdowns, because you know he's going to get the
Right.
PPR work, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of his career he had a 12-touchdown season. He's fully capable.
He's such a funny player. And if you look at it in the isolated redraft single season, like, I just feel like he's the number 1 pick in the draft. I really do. I feel like Puka Nacua is the number 1 pick in all fantasy drafts. We'll see what my opinion is come,
Still, yeah.
June, July,
Still gotta
August.
wait on
But
Stafford.
that's how I feel right now. And now the Stafford thing, it's a ticking time bomb, right? Like, Stafford's career will be much shorter from this point forward than Puka's will be. We will have a transition at the quarterback position. If McVay's still involved, we'll obviously be really in on Puka, but it's a 1-year window, 1 year at a time, but 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns. Stayed healthy.
Man, they really need to draft a quarterback.
Yes, they
Like,
do.
they need to have someone waiting in the wings.
Do not Pittsburgh this thing. You know the end is coming for Matthew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like there is a chance the end for Matthew is the end for McVay.
Yeah, and it
kind of feels that way. Like, what?
It should be.
It's like McVay's like, why prep for a time I'm not here?
Right. I want them to be as bad as possible when I leave.
That way I can be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach.
No one can be anymore.
But, yeah, we don't need to tell you how good Puka was, really. You know it for fantasy, but the numbers, outstanding on a week-to-week basis. Stayed healthy. That was nice. Home road splits the same. Defensive, the same. If it's top or bottom defense. He just did the same thing every week, all the time, and it was awesome. JSN is number 2, and number 2 in consistency. These guys were so similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a magical season from both of them.
One bust game for each guy. Basically, Puka had, I think, one better big outlier, like heavy hitting score. Otherwise, JSN was just as consistent, just as regular. Never let you down.
Real fibrous.
I was going total Raisin Bran joking in my head, but I was like, no way Mike talks about this.
Once a day.
He's a regular
every day.
Have your JSN once a week, and you'll always be regular.
And is now in the Super Bowl.
6% bust game, 76% great, 76% good, which is a higher number. Or no, it's not. Puka's at 81. Yeah, very, very similar numbers.
Not a coincidence that these two guys just played each other for the right to go to the Super Bowl.
No.
It's like the two best wide receivers this year were getting their team there.
12 top 12 performances for JSN. Yeah, that was awesome. Number 3, Amon-Ra St.Brown. with a consistency rank of number 5. In the first half, he was number 4 in consistency. He dropped off in the second half, 17th. Played through some injuries late in the season. We need to remember that. But 24% great. That was up from last year. 59% good. That was right around where he was last year. The bust games went up, though. The previous 2 years, just 6% bust games. This year, 24% bust games.
Which is still a good number.
Ben Johnson.
It's still a good number, but it's
Hello,
certainly
Drew.
not what we are. The blobfish. It's certainly not what we're used to with Amon-Ra. But down the stretch, the Lions had some problems. You know, their season kind of collapsed at the end, and you saw it in the game log for Amon-Ra. I'm not really that worried about it. You know, the Ben Johnson factor, him being gone, it made an impact. It really did.
He was much better against bottom 16 defenses. So when things were easier for Goff, obviously they were much better for Amon-Ra. Home road splits were about the same. The last 3 seasons in a row, do you realize he was the wide receiver 3 all 3 years?
Yeah.
And this year he was drafted at the 110. So he got the respect in the draft. That's where JSN stood out because it was, you know, Amon-Ra went ahead of Puka, barely. And then JSN's like a round and a half later.
Yeah, the nice thing is, for being, you know, not the giant 50-50 type of wide receiver, they use him around the goal line a ton. Led all wide receivers in red zone targets with 33. He had as many receiving touchdowns inside the 20 as the Giants or Jets.
Oh, as
Yeah.
a team.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you any surprise, you know, he was number 17 in consistency in the second half. That's when, like, Laporta went down. Jameson Williams took full advantage, but somehow Amon-Ra became less consistent over that time. I think that's interesting. I don't know if that's like the interior part of the field. Teams could focus a little bit more on Amon-Ra without Laporta there.
I mean, it could also be the fact that Jameson Williams really had a great second half of the year. And on those great games, those are drive-ending long touchdowns sometimes. And that will come at the expense of the other wide receiver.
Number 4, Jamar Chase. His consistency rank was number 3. Like, these are very corollary. We didn't have any really surprise fantasy finishes that were, you know, crazy inconsistent yet. But Jamar Chase, number 5 in the first half, 4 in the second half. The first 4 weeks of the year,
Oh, man.
he was wide receiver 77, 44, and 60 in 3 of those 4 weeks, and Joe Burrow went out.
It's hard to remember.
And it was basically like panic in the streets.
Yes, and it was a panic that I still think it was
appropriate with Jake Browning.
It was appropriate of
Without a trade, he was doomed.
How do you possibly see a road out of this? Because good Lord, Jake Browning in week 3 and 4.
You know who didn't get the Joe Flacco escape hatch? Justin Jefferson.
Right.
That's the other side of the coin. Is
Yes.
you needed a Joe Flacco he got it for like 2 seconds with Carson Wentz, sort of.
Right.
Where he was kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like he's gone and you didn't get that relief.
I think we're realizing that there are 3 tiers of quarterbacks that matter for fantasy. There are the great quarterbacks. That's awesome. You want your wide receivers to have them. When we look at these great wide receivers over the years, we talk about, oh, Larry Fitzgerald had his down years, still in his prime, when he didn't have a quarterback, Hopkins, etc. But it's a middle-tier quarterback with a superstar wide receiver can absolutely produce enough.
Yes.
When they're #bad, there's no overcoming it.
And that's what Browning was. That's what the offense was. Go look at Chase Brown's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all turned around, and you rode Flacco right into Burrow, and that ride was great. And he ends up with 185 targets, 1,400 yards, very similar numbers to last year, same percentage of great games, basically the same good. The bus games were up because of the Browning weeks, but Jamar Chase is just – when all the receivers in football are at their very best, Jamar Chase is the very best. Is how I feel.
Okay. I think that I would, if I was a general manager, he would probably be the wide receiver I would take. Like if I got my pick of every wide receiver currently in the NFL, I think it would be Chase over Justin Jefferson, over Puka.
I feel like he's the hardest to truly stop defensively of all the other receivers.
He tweeted out, so if you haven't seen the great Clint Kubiak design on that JSN touchdown
Yeah,
in the
I
national
did. Yep.
championship
Yeah,
game.
he said he would have been
Yeah.
truck sticked at the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit more focus on the defense. Not that the defense isn't trying to focus on JSN, but when you're playing against Jamar Chase, that's everything.
He did have the biggest home road split of any top 5 wide receiver we've ever seen.
Ooh.
So he was 21.8 points per game at home, 9.6 on the road.
Tell me, those Browning games, were those at home or on the road?
Yeah.
The two were on the road.
Yeah, okay. These are
It is skewing the
fudging
sample.
the
Yeah.
stats a little.
Historical ranks through the first 5 years of Jamar Chase. Targets, number 1 all time. Receptions, number 2 behind Amon-Ra. Yards, number 2 behind Jefferson. We always hear about Jefferson leading having the record through his first 5 years, and here's Chase also breaking all those other records. Tied for 4th behind Rice, Moss, and Des Bryant for receiving touchdowns through his first 5 years, and the highest scoring fantasy player of all time through first 5 years.
He's great.
Now, interestingly enough, his average depth of target, it's dropped for 5 straight years. 12.9, 9.8, 9.1, 9, and 8.9. But, again, get the ball in his hands. That was part of the recipe when Flacco got there. Just find a way to get him the football at all times.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have number 5, my guy. I mean, not mine.
My guy.
My guy.
The number 1 receiver for the Dallas Cowboys.
That would be George
Don't
Pickens.
say it like that.
I mean, this year, George Pickens, number 5 overall, number 6 in consistency. That consistency went from number 6 in the first half to 11 in the second half.
Yeah, got a little weird.
I'll throw CD Lamb into this analysis too at the same time, handle the Cowboys because he missed so many games that his fantasy finish was much lower, 20th, but his consistency rank was 10. So he was actually less consistent than Pickens, even in the games he played.
Lamb still had a very solid year. It really fell apart at the end, but it was solid.
Yeah.
Aside from the missing time.
What was your takeaway from these two guys? I mean, one, do you expect Pickens back? 29% great, 53% good, 24% bust.
I can't fathom a world where they let Pickens walk without franchising him. I haven't
agree.
heard anything of that nature.
Because
but
there's no possible. You can't. No matter what, you have to get him under contract.
Yeah, and he is going to demand a huge
Yes.
contract. The next best wide receiver on the open market this year. Talked about this on the Dynasty show. It's not a good free agent class for wide receivers.
What is it? Alec Pierce is out
Alec
there.
Pierce is the next best.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a gap.
Oh, there's a huge gap.
One can be your Alec Pierce is not coming to be the one on a franchise.
And the truth is that one of the reasons I wanted George Pickens as my guy is because he is a perfect schematic fit for how Dak plays. Dak has not had that outside deep threat that, over the last few years outside of CD that he could let his very good deep ball find a home. And it was perfect for George Pickens. So I want to see them
go to your home.
I want to see them, run it back again next year. In those games when they were playing together, CD was the more targeted player, but George Pickens had the more valuable targets deeper down the field. So both are great.
Yeah. I mean, I know you got to franchise him. You're going to figure it out from there. But like the cap situation, Cowboys are
In the thick of it?
Yeah, it's.
They should just do whatever the Dodgers do, man. Pay Pickens like
the Dodgers thing is there's
$10
no
million.
salary cap.
Well, pay Pickens all his money in like 2050.
I literally thought you were wearing a Dodgers shirt. When you're talking about the Dodgers. No, I know, of course. Why would you? But you see what I'm saying, right?
The shirt that is modeled after a Dodger shirt?
Yeah.
It's a Dodger shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair enough.
I didn't realize that was modeled after
So
a
it's
Dodger.
like long-term, teams make things happen. They find ways.
Yeah, the cap is fake.
They find ways to figure it out.
But they're going to
it's
cost
gonna
him
be-
a lot of
It's going to
money.
be difficult.
All right.
Because I don't think they can afford a full contract here. If Pickens were to go on the open market, he's getting a monstrous deal. I don't think the Cowboys can afford that. which
Spotrac
means,
projected his market value to be 4 years at 122.4.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be, probably at least a top 5 wide receiver of all time just because of how
Mhm.
the money moves
So
up.
you mentioned Javante's a free agent.
Yes.
Brandon Aubrey's a free agent.
Oh.
That's a projected $27
Yeah,
million
you got to
deal.
pay Aubrey.
And Jadeveon Clowney's a free agent too for them. But that one's less important. But
Yeah, get rid of the defense.
Give me your yeah, that worked out really well. If their defense improves, it will be a question about,
It'll be lame, man.
CeeDee Lamb, 7%, great games.
He did
That
not
number
bada
is
boom.
that number is insane. He had drop problems.
Mhm.
His good
At the
game,
end, yes,
his
he
good
did.
game percentage was the same as Pickens. But how do you think the psychology of fantasy players will react to this season, and then going into the draft season, where CeeDee Lamb will be rounds ahead of George Pickens, and yet Pickens has this. This is not a small sample. This wasn't all when CeeDee Lamb was gone. This was 17 weeks.
Well, I mean, what do you think by rounds? Where do you project?
I mean, I
going?
imagine that CeeDee Lamb is still pushing the second round, right?
I think
Maybe
I think
the
he'll be
first
in the
round.
second, but
I don't think first.
I think George will be a third-round pick.
Yeah,
in my
so
estimation.
let's call it middle of the second, middle of the third.
Sure, which I think that's a fair place to start him, and I think that both of them, that's fine. If the fantasy community wants to drop CeeDee Lamb into the second round, I will draft him everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
I'm still fully confident. Look at the year started, wide receiver 9 on the road against Philadelphia, wide receiver 11 against the Giants, and then he got hurt and misses three.
I don't think they want to push him there, but you are not going to draft CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you will see him drafted ahead of Amon-Ra, Puka, Jameson, and Chase. Those are
Correct.
Yeah,
those
and
are not happening.
That's fair.
Beyond that, I mean, sure.
I mean, the truth is, if you look at his game log last year, he was basically on pace for 100 receptions and 1,500 yards. Awesome. And
Pre-George?
And 3 touchdowns.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, the issue this last year for him and the no bada booms is he wasn't getting the touchdowns this year. That's not the sticky stat. I'm going to look at the targets, the yards, and then project that he gets a percentage of the touchdowns, which is more in line with his career average, which will put him pretty high.
Are you
up for
saying
me.
that his yardage numbers, that was his projection without the injured games?
Correct.
Still at the 1,300?
Kyle's given us some early
1,300
for the absolute degenerates out there playing best ball already.
I believe you are
including week 18.
and week 3, where the game he got injured.
You took that one out.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So best ball ADP, it's already going. Everybody,
Oh yeah.
Lamb is right now going at the 7th pick. So at least the early adopters are not penalizing CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens is going about just a little bit later in the second round.
Lamb's still 26, totally in his prime.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk about some other names that surprised to find themselves in the top 12.
Oh, Footland, the big game is almost here, and there is no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels real good to be right. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. You can copy lineups you like, use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. We have loved using Prize Picks all year long. Some of these projections are so much fun to have some skin in the game and then maybe win some cashish. But I can tell you right now, when I'm playing and I'm putting in that completion percentage for a quarterback, every single throw is yes, no, yes, no. It's a blast. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. We're so back.
Well, okay. Chris Olave comes in at number 6. Consistency rank of 8. If you look at the first half of the year, that was not the time period in which Chris Olave, you saw this coming.
We call those the Rattler years.
21st in consistency in the first half, number 2 in the second half. He got shucked tonight.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I mean, he was really, really great. I mean, you did not have the names beyond these top 5.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of wild.
Olave at 6.
You had the disappearing act.
Very wild.
We can talk about them because they're not going to be on the show. But Jefferson isn't part of this conversation today. Malik Neighbors, Expected
Of
him
course.
in this conversation. He's not there. Brian Thomas Jr. thought he might be in this conversation. He's not there. Nico Collins. We'll talk about
Nope.
him.
Chris Olave.
But it's Chris Olave. Yeah, Tyreek Hill's done, right?
How-
Chris Olave in the Tyler Shuck games. Okay, so Tyler Shuck starting in week 9. And then from that point on, from week 9 through the rest of the season, Puka Nacua had 19.9 points per game. JSN had 17 points per game. And then Chris Olave was right behind him at 15.8. I guess technically in one game played, Torrey Horton is in there at 18 points. But obviously does not count.
How are you feeling, Jason? So you made a legendary footballers move in our dynasty league.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Addison off of his hot rookie year and 2 firsts
Yeah.
for Chris Olave. And last year,
Felt pretty bad about it. Right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. The truth is the big issue with Chris Olave, and it will be there forever, is the concussion risk. He came out and talked about the fact that this offseason he did consider walking away. He had the conversations of should he stop playing football. I love that. I love that he's concerned about it, that he made it through the entire season without having a problem, and that he has a quarterback now that, part of the problem in concussions and wide receivers, if you go back and you look at the Chris Olave concussions, I feel like several of them were basically murder balls. You know what I mean? Derek Carr
Right.
throwing up these balls that Chris Olave is going to try to go get, and if I'm confident that a quarterback here can protect Chris Olave and that Chris Olave is concerned with protecting himself, there's never been a doubt in my mind of talent. None.
No, we've always believed in the talent. It was a quarterback situation and injuries, and now you're dealing with the blood clot, right? He at the end of the
Sure.
year, right after he's like, I'm finally going to play the entire season.
Right.
He goes out with, I think it was a blood clot.
yes,
right?
yeah, in his lung.
And so, next year it'll be interesting. I don't think he's drafted anywhere near wide receiver 6. But,
No.
But
That's
there'll be
curious.
other
I
players
wonder-
back. Like I'm not taking Olave over Neighbors coming back from injury.
No.
I'm not taking him ahead of Jefferson. I'm not
I-
those
I-
guys
I
or
wonder
Nico.
how much people react to this.
I think they'll be very aware, acutely aware, and try to steal him.
Kyle,
Everyone will try to steal him, and he'll go higher than we
give me
think.
his underdog ADP.
Oh, yeah.
He's going 26th overall.
Oh.
26 overall.
Okay. Top of the third. That's expensive.
That's probably
that won't-
where he's
It's probably fair,
That-
but
yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe early fourth in redraft, all things considered. He had never had a game over 20 fantasy points in his career before this year.
that is impressive.
So it was special. Played much better against worse defenses, and was so good with Tyler Shuck. So there's a hope and a future there in New Orleans. Zay.
When's Rookie of the Year? Is that stuff?
So the finalists were announced for AP.
Yeah.
For AP, and
But
I know,
when's the big
reveal.
hullabaloo?
I don't know the date.
Is it the off
honors?
week?
Honors.
Is it this
week?
weekend? Maybe.
Maybe.
The week
If
before the
only we
Super
could find out.
If only we knew from every other year and could remember.
February 5th, 2026, ahead of Super Bowl.
Okay.
So it will be NFL honors that night. So I believe
So a week from
Tedero
today.
McMillan is a finalist.
Yeah, it seems
Tyler
like
Shuck and Jackson Dart.
Rookie of the Year is Tyler Shuck or Tedero McMillan.
Mhm.
I believe the Pro Football Writers of America already did theirs. They named Tedero McMillan their Rookie of the Year. And that was on January 20th. Zay Flowers comes in at number 7.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, this is where truth
Yeah.
is. I mean, the truth is
revealed.
the truth is Zay Flowers is not remotely the number 7
No, he didn't help you
wide
like
receiver.
that.
He played all of the weeks.
He did at the end.
His consistency rank was 16. It was 30th in the first half of the season. I'm looking at the game log. I would have smiled 5 times.
You would have smiled a lot at the end.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been there. I mean, you're there because you didn't have him in the beginning. You traded for him halfway through the year. That's a good time to do it.
Right.
But you might not have been where you were if you had him in the first half of the year.
And I'm not. I do love Zay Flowers. I think he's an excellent player. But I'm not doing a full cover and apology for how Zay Flowers got to where he was. I mean, he was 86 for 1,200, so that's pretty solid. And then the questions are, I mean, like Lamar missed a good chunk of time. Lamar Jackson came back and was quite bad at the game of football, and then Zay kind of overcame that at the end. So I wonder how Jay, because how you factor in those variables, because I think they're very real and very fair, but it's just how much do you
if
weigh
you were
it?
to ignore weeks 5 through 8 when Lamar missed, you mean? You can't really ignore Lamar playing poorly because that was just his quarterback. I can get you the number if we take those games out, but in those games,
No, I'm not necessarily looking for the numbers, just of like the overall, like the vibes,
I mean,
the feel.
I think we are years into Zay Flowers, knowing that Zay Flowers, despite finishing as a wide receiver 1, he's a wide receiver 2 for fantasy. He's not bad. He's a very good player on the field, but they don't consolidate enough targets to him. Put it this way.
It's not a takeover guy.
Last year, he had 116 targets. That's not enough to be great on a regular basis. This year, he had 118, almost the same. When you look at wide receiver 1s, they're usually up at 130, 140 targets, or all the way up to.
I mean, look at the consistency numbers. This is what the truth's about. 29% good games from the number 7 wide receiver. 29% is the lowest of any wide receiver finishing in our top 14 in the history of the Truth Series since 2017. If I'm getting 29% of the games where I'm happy,
well, and Kyle was
it's
sharing
a huge problem.
12.1 points per game is the lowest ever for a wide receiver 7 finish. I mean, we opened the section with wide receiver scoring was down.
Yeah.
Touchdowns were way down for the position. So looking at the last 5 years, the wide receiver 7 on average was about 14 points per game, which is more like a couple points a game at this level. That'll move stuff. So it just down year. Zay Flowers, right place, right time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's no disrespect to Flowers. He is what he is. And he's always been a very valuable receiver from time to time that makes huge plays. I don't think you ever really go into the game thinking like defensively, oh my gosh, like this, we got to stop Zay Flowers today. That's all my point was. Like, I don't think he's not one of the guys that we would ever say is a top 5 finisher.
Who will be drafted higher next year, Zay Flowers or Emeka Egbuka?
Flowers.
Depends on the offseason.
Yeah, I mean,
Depends on if Evans, Godwin, and McMillan are all back. Then
I'm baking
then
Evans back to the Bucs.
It'll be Flowers. Yeah. I mean,
if you could turn Abuka's first half and Zay Flowers' second half into one
there
player,
you go.
It would have been really strong.
Would have been like Chris Olave.
Davante Adams comes in at 8 with a consistency rank of 7. It dropped off in the second half. He got hurt. His touchdowns were out of control. He was basically a goal line running back.
He led the NFL in touchdowns despite missing 3 games. Like he was that far ahead of everybody. And
he caught 60 passes? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So 14 of his 60 receptions were for a touchdown.
His 17-game pace would be 17 touchdowns on only 72 receptions.
That
must be weird for Cooper Kupp to be like having that game against his former team, and then like now you're going to the Super Bowl, and they're not.
Cooper Kupp feels 12 feet tall
Yeah.
right now, guys.
Yeah,
that had to feel so good.
You know, him and Stafford were best buds, man.
Yeah.
And Puka. I watched all
Doesn't matter. My best buds can burn.
All the post game, the immediate, pads are still on, going over and finding Cooper Kupp, sharing love, saying go get that title. They love each other.
Do you feel like the difference of Adams and Kupp was that significant?
Yes.
I don't. I think it was significant for Matthew Stafford and for the ability to throw passing touchdowns. I think if it was Cooper Kupp instead of Davante Adams, the Rams probably would just score more touchdowns on the ground. So I don't think it was
like the net result for the Rams wouldn't have been much different.
I don't personally believe it would have been that much.
The MVP story wouldn't have been there. That's
correct.
For sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like this was really good for Stafford in his accumulation of touchdowns.
I got to give you the last 2 names here. I know we're getting towards the end of the show, but
say Stafford, like the last 2 years was 24 passing touchdowns and 20, and he jumped to 46.
Yeah, no.
That's Davante Adams.
I wonder what the total team touchdowns were from the last few years. Kyle, look that up.
Yeah, that's
the offensive
question.
touchdowns from the Rams the last 3 years.
They were number one in scoring, so it was definitely a special year. Nico Collins comes in at 9 with a consistency of 11. I feel like Nico is it's like Batman hiding in the shadows here. We all know Nico has the ability to be that top 5. Like, none of us is taking Zay Flowers over Nico Collins.
No.
It's just it was very, he got hurt, right? Week 7, I believe. He was 7% great games. That's down 3 straight years now, 27%, 18%, 7%. And in the good games, 53%. I'd much rather have Nico Collins than Zay Flowers.
I agree.
As the linchpin of my fantasy team.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he'll definitely go ahead of him next year in the draft. But, yeah, he could have used some more help in this offense.
From his quarterback?
Yeah, he needs help from Stroud.
From his quarterback and just, I think, having not just 2 rookies running around.
Yeah, he was on pace for 1,600 yards and 107 receptions in the games without Stroud.
Oh, and the Davis Mills games?
The Davis
What
Mills
was he
games.
on pace for?
Whatever I just said.
Okay.
I'll go back.
Yeah, no, that's
it was
good.
3
I'll go
games,
listen to the
right?
show.
Yeah, it was 3. It was 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the lack of a running game hurt this offense. I know Woody Marks eventually established himself, but like having a play action game, no Joe Mixon for the beginning of the year. You were running Nick Chubb a bunch. You were running Dameon Pierce a bunch. Nico Collins needs some time to run around down the field. Offensive line and the running game are really going to impact what you get from him. He's probably one of those sneakier guys next year.
I hope so.
I just don't believe that people will be sneaked out. I think he's going to be drafted super high.
You do?
Yeah.
A.J. Brown or Nico?
It'll be Nico over A.J.
Jefferson
Brown
or
easily.
Nico?
That one, Jefferson is the most interesting name to me. Where Jefferson goes next year, I mean, obviously we got to find out who their quarterback is, but like, let's just say they're running it back with 9, and they just got to go into year 2 and say he's going to take that, that leap forward. I will not be drafting Justin Jefferson in the first round. He was so far removed from anything relevant this year in fantasy but he will go probably in the first round, no matter who his quarterback is, because he's Justin Jefferson. I would take Nico over him.
Assuming it's McCarthy.
Guys,
Yeah.
number 10 is another Lion.
What?
It's another Lions wide receiver.
What?
It's the second.
Isaac Tesla.
It's the second my guy to make the top 10.
Whoa.
Was that supposed to be Tesla? Because I'm now very scared for those at home. The lights all turned off, and we were electrocuted.
That was fun.
Jameson Williams.
Another my guy.
You want to hear a disparity of first half, second half?
Yeah.
By the way, they no longer have their offensive coordinator. I mean, that was a 1-year trial without Ben Johnson. Now they brought in a new one. Jameson Williams, still just 24 years old. Consistency of 15.
Consistency in the first half was loose stool.
Yes.
38.
Very.
Hey, Zay
very
Flowers.
liquid consistency.
Zay Flowers was 30.
Not regular.
Jameson Williams was 38. He was basically nothing before the bye. And after the bye, he was everything. Number 7 in consistency.
The thing that
Better
stinks-
than Amon-Ra.
the thing that
in that
stinks
part of
a
the year.
lot is that you played where he was drafted. You played him at the beginning of the year. He was in your lineup over and over and over, crushing you. And then once he got hot, it naturally
Whoever
took.
scooped him up
it-
off of waivers
But
was super
it
happy.
Still took many weeks before he went in your lineup. You were like, I don't trust it. Now he did it the entire second half, so he became trustworthy.
Well, except for week 12.
Sure, that
That
game,
was 0 points.
Second
Didn't-
half consistency, 17 for Amon-Ra, 7 for Jameson.
yeah. I mean, when
Weird.
Laporta went down and they switched the offensive play calling,
Yep.
and Dan Campbell took
Yep.
over, there was a clear shift in how this offense operated. And I don't know if that means that these are bright days for Jameson Williams going forward next year, but that could very well be the case.
He is so very much my Ken Walker. Because it's not about, like, Mike's
Yeah.
argument for Ken Walker is if you give him more work, you'll get more Ken Walker.
Yeah.
The argument for Jameson Williams, you give him more targets. I mean, you just brought
Yeah,
up
it turns out that
he's
he is good.
He's good. So, like, you just brought up the play calling change. Before they changed away from Morton, he was 4.5 targets a game. So that turned into 44 yards. After, it was 7 targets a game with Campbell, and it was 85 yards a game. So, it's if you target somebody more, they will score more fantasy points, unless it's Emeka Egbuka, and he'll just score less.
Good.
But there you go. There's your top 10, and we have a lot of other names to talk about. We do have a very brief, abridged fantasy face-off.
Fantasy Face-Off, presented by Prize Picks.
Well, we don't have football games. Did you guys know this? We're not putting any Prize Picks down on the Pro Bowl flag football. I mean, no Shador projections coming your way, but we are going to reveal.
Yeah, I mean, the Shador jab, and then the Bill Belichick cross was like, does anything matter anymore?
Right.
Football.
Yeah. I think we're going to reveal
the Super Bowl does.
our 3
Okay.
projections for our player pack for the Super Bowl. Before next week, we'll put full lineups together.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually went Cooper Kupp more than 31.5 receiving yards.
Man.
Do you guys find that to be odd or weird? Or he's been more involved in the playoffs, 5 for 60 against the 49ers, 4 for 36 last week. I think about Christian Gonzalez and the Patriots, and I started thinking about Cooper Kupp.
No, I think Christian Gonzalez, the Patriots trying to take out the number 1 weapon, and the need for
is Gonzalez guarding Ken Walker?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Super Bowl MVP coming up.
Probably.
I doubt it. For Sam Darnold,
how awesome would it be?
I mean, that would complete that nothing would complete Mike's
the year of Mike
full year.
Yes.
Ken Bone Walker. I gotta go.
I mean, look into some things.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your projection?
I actually really like mine.
Well, that's good. It's yours. So
Yeah.
It's Drake May.
I am a beautiful person.
Who? Did you hear the news that Drake May should play in the Super Bowl?
I did hear that news. I also heard the news from Vrabel saying no one was injured in the playoffs or whatever. I know it was like everyone's fighting through things. We'll tell you what we have to tell you when it's required of us. It was,
but Jarrett Stidham will be starting for the New England Patriots.
But Drake May's shoulder is injured. Like, he is playing through a shoulder injury right now, and that's why his projection at 225.5. This is a good defense he's playing in Seattle.
Great.
Defense. Yeah, a great defense with a bum shoulder. I'm not saying they can't win because I'm taking less than 225.5. I mean, they just won with 86 passing yards from Drake May, but the passing yardage has, the last 2 times we've seen him in the playoffs, 179, 86. Now he's got a hurt shoulder against a great defense. I feel like this game is going to be a well-coached, good defense type of game. And so that, to me, says probably fewer passing yards.
And I've been watching this one. It has been active and moving. And Ramondre Stevenson, his projection is now down to 51.5 rushing yards. It started up at the...
Taking the more?
No, I am taking the less. This thing has been moving down. So I still am okay with where it is at.
That's the one I missed last week. That's why I'm the shame.
Seahawks, the rush defense is stout. Number 1 in yards per carry allowed. 3rd in rushing yards per game allowed. 5th in EPA per rush. And while Ramondre has been he has been better than Travion Henderson in the playoffs and getting more work. The EPA on Ramondre and Henderson is actually bad. And I think that the matchup against the Seahawks, they're going to want to establish it. I just don't think they'll be able to.
How good is the Rams offense? I mean,
yeah,
because Seattle's defense.
Oh, we got the answer, by the way. To the touchdowns.
yes.
Okay, so here is the Rams with Stafford, right? The Super Bowl year, 51 touchdowns.
That's a ton.
Nice. Stafford hurt the next year. In 2023, 44 touchdowns. The next year, 37. This year, 63.
Okay, Davante Adams made quite the impact.
Did have a beard.
But Davante Adams did have a beard. But yeah, I mean, this
So
is
I'm taking the less on Ramondre, but if you're going to join me on that one, you better find a way in because that thing is moving.
Yeah, he was 71 yards on the ground last week, but snow game and
With
everything.
a jillion carries.
Yeah.
he had like
It'll depend on whether
high
they're
20s,
is
didn't he?
this is a pro Travion Henderson.
It is not,
bounce
no. This
back.
this is a pro Seahawks defense.
Yes, it
and
is.
you're not going to be game scripted ahead.
He had 25 carries last week.
That was Fantasy Face-Off. By the way, I'm the Wheel of Shame for next week.
Huzzah!
I finally let Jason take a break. That was Fantasy Face-Off presented by Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. Use the code Footballers and get $50 in lineups when you play $5. We're about a week away. 10 days. 10 days away from the big game. The ultimate draft kit for 2026 with the Dynasty Pass a week from Sunday. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you then.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.